Trade agreements have been in the mainstream media recently thanks to the Trans-Pacific Partnership finally being agreed upon by all parties involved. It took them many years in which news outlets failed to cover the topic even though the tech sector begged them to. See, in the TPP is a section devoted to intellectual property, and the effects it will have are fairly significant. Let me explain a little bit. When you do anything on the internet, your device is associated with an IP address. If you are sharing a connection, many people may have the same IP at the same time. Under current guidelines in US law, an IP address does not specify a unique person, which really is the correct interpretation. But under the TPP, such might go away. The TPP, under Article I-7, mandates copyright owners with sufficient claims obtain an ISP's customer information based on said IP address in an expedient fashion. This raises a red flag because plenty of copyright lawsuits have been marked as phishing expeditions, where the copyright holder demands a user's info based on an IP address. Is alleging infringement now a sufficient claim to get around the problem of ISPs justifiably refusing to comply? Well, it could be, especially if you take into account Section H4, Part 13 of the TPP. But that's for another time. Instead, now consider Section G10 on technological protection measures. This includes digital right management, or DRM, and the like. Under the TPP, as long as the copyright holder takes into consideration alternative means in which their work under protection can be enjoyed, circumvention of this DRM becomes infringement. Thus, if you rip music or movies or sell software that does this, you will likely be infringing on copyright, even if you feel it to be fair use. The TPP also states this is independent of any infringement already defined under law. I'm totally guilty of this because I rip movies for the purpose of watching on my tablet and phone all the time. I travel to a lot of places where internet access just may not exist. So even though studios provide a crappy ultraviolet version of their content, that doesn't necessarily work when you're out in the wilderness, on a plane, or in a foreign country with really expensive cell service. Then Section G13 also removes fair use when it comes to rights management. The stuff like watermarks, if you're confused as the difference between rights management and digital rights management. So currently, it's entirely fair to allow a teacher to crop a picture and remove a watermark or edit a photo with proper attribution. Under the TPP, not only is this not allowed, regardless of what our current copyright law states, but it can also be a criminal offense to do so. In fact, a lot of stuff that previously wasn't criminal becomes criminal under the TPP. Willful copyright infringement on a commercial scale, even if there was no commercial advantage or financial gain, can now be classified as a criminal act if it has substantial prejudicial impact on the interests of the copyright owner. If you know anything about copyright cases, Hollywood, and the music industry, you know that sharing one video or one song is considered substantial and prejudicial impact on their interests. It was bad enough that sharing 24 songs in Capitol Records v. Thomas Rosette resulted in a $222,000 civil fine. But under the TPP, that result probably would also include jail time. Furthermore, anyone infringing can have the materials and implements used for infringement confiscated and destroyed, meaning computer equipment and anything else that might be associated with the infringing act could go bye-bye. To me, this seems to be very disproportionate and likely a due process violation, but with trade agreements like the TPP, it supersedes our Constitution, even if the Congress signs off on it. So there's not really much we can do there if it goes into effect. Bearing that in mind, consider the effect on medicine with the TPP's patent changes. To start, patents recognized in one country must be recognized in all. You might think this to be a no-brainer, but sometimes bad patents are issued. For example, Eli Lilly had 2 patents recognized here in America and validated in Canada, meaning generic drugs or research on new drugs based on those patents could now occur in our neighbor to the north. This happened because the patents did not meet Canada's standard for utility. Under a TPP, that would no longer be the case. Bad patents will be enforced, and Worse still, research on the medicines in question becomes private. This reduces knowledge and it hinders competition, and less competition results in increased prices, and increased prices in countries that may not be able to afford it results in people losing their lives. New Zealand has already said that the patent and research protection under the TPP will cause their medical costs to go up. Here in the US, we will see that as well, thanks to the stronger monopoly protections offered by the TPP. And what sucks most about this is that the US Patent and Trademark Office keeps granting bad patents on medicine. Studies have shown that barely 25% of new medicine is significantly different than what's currently on the market, and worse, only 14% are new biologics. When you have that few new molecular entities being created compared to the amount of patent protection being given, you know something really has to be out of whack. That's really one of the main concerns with the TPP as it relates to intellectual property. We have expansive copyright and way too many patents that should never have been granted in the first place. The TPP not only makes strong IP protection stronger, but it cements the standards into law. America will have a heck of a time trying to change IP law with the TPP being enforced. That means less competition, less fair use, more criminality, and any chance of eliminating software patents will be gone. And on top of that, if that wasn't bad enough, we'll see more money being wasted in the federal budget because the burden put on taxpayers. And if you honestly think that the TPP won't cause Medicare costs to go up, please share what you're smoking. I can guarantee you they will. Prices in a capitalist society don't go down when you increase and expand monopoly protections. So all the talk from candidates about fixing the high cost of medicine kind of becomes a moot point thanks to the TPP. So remember, our Constitution says that intellectual property is meant to promote the progress of science and the useful arts. Regardless of whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you honestly think any of this is promoting science instead of promoting profit, you are sorely mistaken. So hopefully, all of this explains some of the dangerous effects the TPP will have on intellectual property and why this should matter to you, the everyday American. Don't forget, there are other agreements still being discussed, like the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership with Europe, which could add an even greater burden on us. In the next video of the series, I'll talk more about the problems with the US Patent and Trademark Office, specifically in relation to vague and bad patents. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.